Welcome to Vienna. Vienna was first mentioned in the 1st century AD, when the Roman settlement of Vindobona existed on the site of the modern city. As of 2023, Vienna has a population of 1,982,097 people. St. Stephen's Cathedral, the majestic heart of Vienna. In the 12th century, the first parish church was built on this site. In 1147, the first Romanesque church was consecrated, but it was partially destroyed in the 13th century. The construction of the present cathedral began in 1359 on the initiative of Rudolf IV and continued for several centuries. It was completed in 1511. The architecture of St. Stephen's Cathedral is a magnificent example of the Gothic style with elements of Romanesque and Renaissance architecture. The main facade of the cathedral is decorated with 3 portals, the most famous of which are the Giant Portal and the Singer Tor. The giant portal leading to the main nave is decorated with intricate carvings and reliefs depicting scenes from the Bible and mythology. Hofburg, Vienna's imperial palace. The history of the Hofburg dates back to the 13th century, when it was built as a medieval fortress. Over time, the complex was greatly expanded and rebuilt, reflecting different architectural styles, from Gothic and Renaissance to Baroque and Classicism. The Hofburg is a complex of more than 240,000 square meters of buildings comprising 18 wings, 19 courtyards, and more than 2,600 rooms. The oldest part of the Hofburg is the Swiss wing, built in the 13th century. It houses the imperial treasury, which houses many relics, including the imperial crown of the Holy Roman Empire. Amalienburg is the Renaissance and Baroque part of the palace, named in honor of Empress Amalia Wilhelmina. It houses a tower with an astronomical clock and a number of luxurious chambers. The Vienna State Opera is one of the most famous and prestigious opera houses in the world. The building was designed by architects August Sickert von Sickertsburg and Eduard van der Nul, and opened its doors in 1869 with a production of Mozart's opera Don Giovanni. During World War II, the opera building was badly damaged by bombing. However, after the war ended in 1955, the renovated theater reopened, this time with a production of Beethoven's opera Fidelio. The architecture of the Vienna State Opera is a magnificent example of the Neo-Renaissance. The building is decorated with numerous sculptures, reliefs, and arcades. The facade of the building is decorated with an arcade, behind which there are statues symbolizing different musical genres. The entrance to the theater is guarded by bronze statues of horses by Ernst Hilger. The Karlskirche, Church of St. Karl Borromeo, is one of the most impressive and important churches in Vienna. The Karlskirche was built in gratitude for the deliverance from the plague that devastated Vienna in 1713. Emperor Charles VI vowed to build the church in honor of St. Charles Borromeo, the patron saint of the fight against the plague, if the epidemic stopped. In 1714, after the plague receded, construction of the church began. The construction of the Karlskirche was entrusted to the famous architect Johann Bernhard Fischer von Erlach. Work on the church continued from 1716 to 1737. The Karlskirche combines many architectural styles and symbols. The main facade is decorated with 2 huge columns. These columns are covered with reliefs depicting scenes from the life of St. Charles Borromeo and allegories of the victory over the plague. The Belvedere is one of Vienna's most beautiful and important palace and park complexes, a magnificent example of Baroque architecture and landscape design. The complex consists of the upper and lower Belvedere surrounded by extensive gardens and is an important part of Austria's cultural heritage. Construction of the Belvedere began in the early 18th century on the orders of Prince Eugene of Savoy, one of the most prominent generals of his time. The complex served as the prince's summer residence and was conceived as a symbol of his military victories and political power. The design and construction of the palace complex was entrusted to the famous architect Johann Lucas von Hildebrandt. The work began in 1714 and lasted about 20 years. Hildebrandt created a masterpiece of Baroque architecture, combining elegance and monumentality. Vienna's Burgtheater is one of the most prestigious and famous theaters in the world. The Burgtheater was founded in 1741 by order of Empress Maria Theresa and was originally located in one of the wings of the Hofburg Palace. In 1776, the theater was granted the status of national theater by a decree of Emperor Joseph II. By the end of the 19th century, the old theater building was no longer adequate. In 1888, the theater moved to a new building on Ringstrasse, built by the architects Gottfried Semper and Karl von Hasenauer. This neo-Renaissance building still houses the Burgtheater today. The architecture impresses with its grandeur and elegance. The facade is decorated with a colonnade, sculptures and reliefs depicting scenes from famous plays. The main hall, which seats more than 1,300 people, is decorated with marble, gilding, and frescoes. Rathausplatz is one of Vienna's most famous and lively squares. It is located in front of the magnificent Vienna City Hall and is an important cultural and social center of the city, where numerous events, festivals, and fairs take place. The Rathausplatz was created at the end of the 19th century, at the same time as the construction of the new Vienna Town Hall. The Vienna City Hall is a magnificent building built in Neo-Gothic style between 1872 and 1883. Designed by architect Friedrich Schmidt. The town hall is the seat of the mayor and city council of Vienna. Every winter, one of the most famous and popular Christmas fairs in Europe, the Vienna Christkindlmarkt, unfolds on Rathausplatz. The fair attracts thousands of visitors with its festive decorations, the aroma of hot mulled wine, and the variety of Christmas goods and souvenirs.